Good morning. My name is Duke Haba, and I am honored to be inducted into the Marquis Who's Who list in November 2024. It is an incredible honor to be recognized for my contributions to AI research, AI thought leadership, and responsible AI. I'm deeply grateful to my friends and family for sharing this journey with me. Here is my story, and the best is yet to come.
Okay, so if you're listening to this, you're probably deep in the world of Gen AI already.
Probably.
And one name you've been hearing a lot lately is Duke Haba.
Yeah, he's everywhere.
But we always say, right, there's more to a person than just what you see on their resume or their bio, especially in a field like AI.
Definitely. And Duke's story is really interesting. It's not your average tech career. This is someone who's gone from, fixing copiers to, trying to shape the future of AI with some pretty interesting stops along the way.
Yeah, and some of those stops are surprising. Xerox PIACA, the U.S. Department of Defense, children's literacy. So buckle up. This is going to be a good one.
It is, yeah.
So let's start at the beginning. Xerox PIACA. Now, I think most people, when they hear Xerox, they think copiers.
Yeah.
Not exactly, the first thing you think of with cutting-edge tech.
Right, exactly. But Xerox PIACA back in the 70s and 80s, it was like the hub for innovation. Lasers, Ethernet, that graphical user interface that we use, all invented there.
And Duke Haba was there for that.
He was right in the thick of it, working on, get this, expert systems for copier diagnostics.
Expert systems for copiers. That's pretty high-tech for a copier.
Well, it might seem like overkill now, but think about it. You're talking about diagnosing, complex machines, often in really remote places. They had to use cutting-edge tech to solve those problems. And that's something you see a lot in Donkey's career.
And it wasn't just copiers. Wasn't he involved in some secret projects for the Department of Defense?
Yeah, top secret. They were called skunkworks projects. Now, we don't know all the details, but the fact that he was trusted with that kind of responsibility early in his career, it says a lot.
Imagine being, fresh out of school and suddenly you're thrust into this world of cutting-edge research, top-secret projects, talk about trial by fire. You wonder if those experiences kind of sparked his interest in AI,
I think it's possible. And the atmosphere at Xerox PRC back then, it was all about these groundbreaking ideas. Anything felt possible. That kind of environment really shapes you.
Okay, so you've got this incredible foundation at Xerox PRs. But then he goes to Oracle. That's a much more, established company. And he's a principal researcher there working on database solutions. It's kind of change of pace, isn't it?
Yeah, it seems like a big shift. But remember, this is Silicon Valley, late 90s, early 2000s, the dot-com boom. Everyone's excited. Even these bigger companies like Oracle were caught up in the energy of the startup world.
So even at Oracle, he's still got to see the tech world changing so fast.
Exactly. And that leads us to his next move, which makes perfect sense in hindsight. He joins Viant Consulting as a founding member.
Viant Consulting. So he is back in the startup world? Big risk, big reward.
You got it. And this is where he gets to put all those entrepreneurial skills he's been developing to the test. He's not just part of a team. Now he's beating something new from scratch.
And he does build it successfully. I mean, he helps lead Viant through a successful IPO. That's impressive, right? Especially in the early internet days, things were changing so fast back then.
Oh, yeah, that's a huge accomplishment. Yeah. And I think that experience, that understanding of what it takes to not just have a great idea, but to actually build a business, it's huge. And you can see how it would help him later on.
So we've got, the cutting-edge research at Xerox PIR, the corporate world with Oracle, and then leading this startup to success. What comes next?
Well, this is where it gets interesting. Doug makes a detour into the world of, are you ready for this? Children's literacy.
Wait, what? Yeah, that's right. Our kids. LeVar Burton. Reading Rainbow. I have to admit, when I first saw this, I thought maybe it was a different Duke Haba.
I can imagine. But, and this is what's so cool about his career, it all kind of makes sense when you look at the bigger picture. This is a guy who loves using tech to solve all sorts of problems, not just the obvious ones.
So he becomes the CTO of our Kids. He's using all his experience to make educational content more engaging, more accessible.
And not just for any kids, for kids who might not have all the opportunities, Bridging the digital divide, using tech for good. Plus, he leads this company to IPO as well.
Okay, so we're seeing a theme here. He's obviously brilliant when it comes to tech. He's got that entrepreneurial drive. But there's also this commitment to making a positive impact,
Exactly. And that leads us to today. Duke Haba, the Chief AI Officer at Gen AI World Association.
Okay, so for anyone who's not totally up to speed, Gen AI, that's generative AI,
Yeah.
ChatGPT, DLE, stuff like that. It's changing everything.
It really is. But with all this new tech, we've got a whole new set of questions, especially about ethics,
And that's where Duke's focus on what he calls responsible AI comes in. He's not just trying to build the most powerful AI, he wants to make sure it's used ethically.
Which is so important. Gen AI is everywhere now. It's only going to get more powerful. So we're talking about things like bias in algorithms, misinformation, the impact on jobs. Those are real concerns.
And he's not afraid to talk about the tough stuff. He's out there actually trying to shape how we develop and use Gen AI ethically.
It's one thing to say ethics are important, but it's another thing entirely to actually do something about it. And that's what Duke's trying to do. He's trying to build practical guidelines, frameworks for making sure AI is used responsibly.
And you know what's funny? When I was getting ready for our deep dive today, I found out Duke actually wrote a book about AI.
You did, yeah.
And not just like a little tech manual or something. Data augmentation with Python, right? It was an Amazon #1 new release.
It was huge. And that shows you it's not just tech people reading it. This is something that's relevant to a lot of people.
Okay, so for those of us who haven't read it yet, what is data augmentation exactly?
So basically, imagine you're, teaching an AI to recognize, let's say, different flowers. If you only showed a few pictures, it's not going to be very good at recognizing them in real life.
Yeah.
Right? Data augmentation is like giving the AI a ton of extra training data.
Ah, okay.
But instead of actually finding thousands of new pictures, you kind of create them by making little changes to the pictures you already have.
So you mean like flipping them around, changing the colors, stuff like that?
Exactly. It sounds kind of simple,
Yep.
but it makes the AI way more accurate, less likely to make mistakes. And the fact that Duke wrote the book on this, it shows how deeply he understands AI, not just the theory, but how to actually make it work.
It's that bridge between the really complex stuff and making it, useful for everyone.
Exactly.
So to wrap things up, I mean, we've covered a lot. Xerox, Bark, Oracle, startups, children's books, now shaping the future of AI. It's pretty amazing.
It really is. And what I think is so interesting is that, it's not a typical career path. He's taken all these detours, but there's this theme, right? This constant learning, this drive to always be pushing the boundaries.
And that's a good lesson for all of us. I mean, no matter what you do, you can't just get comfortable. You got to keep learning, keep adapting.
Especially in AI, things change so fast. What works today might be totally irrelevant tomorrow. You have to be okay with that uncertainty.
So yeah, as you're listening to this, think about Duke Haba's story. Think about your own journey and ask yourself, how can you keep learning, keep growing, and use what you know to make a difference? Because that's something we can all be inspired by.
Thank you for watching the video version of Duke Haba's resume. Google AI's Notebook LM crafts this unique audio interview in October 2024. AI generated every part of this production, including the dialogues, AI voices, opening music, and images, and edited the final cut using CapCut software. The entire process behind this recording complies with the first law of AI collaboration, a guiding principle proposed by Duke Haba, available on a LinkedIn post and YouTube video. I am Hannah, Duke's AI assistant. It's been a pleasure sharing this with you, and we will meet again on the same side of the rainbow.